Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. It is Monday morning. That means that we're going to do a recap of everything that happened in Week 10. I'm going to look at my Best Buys column. We're going to go player by player and see how we did in Best Buys. I'm going to go over my cash game lineup. I'm going to look at how I did against the spread in Week 10. Very odd week, very strange week. One that I really struggled to get a grip on from Monday all the way until game time on Sunday. There was some news that happened that changed things. We talked about the X factors right here on Twitch, live and on stream. On the Anti-Tinkercast, things that maybe you should have pivoted to. Week 10 was just a weird week for me. I usually have a good grasp on the way things are going to go, and I felt all week, and I thought that I said this on the Edge podcast on Thursday. I felt that I said this on Friday afternoon and on Sunday morning. The salaries and the matchups and everything else made this a very, very weird week for me, and I don't normally feel like that in daily fantasy, and it definitely came through in my lineups. It came through in my decision making, and I'm hoping that we can get back on track in week 11 so I can feel more confident with more, not direct directions, but more straightforward matchups, more straightforward plays. I know we have the Monday Night Football game of the year, basically, in week 11 next Monday night with the Chiefs against the Rams. That one's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be fun, historic, over-under in that one. But it's not on the main slate, which we'll get to in my first look video. If you haven't watched that one, most of you do. That's the most watched video on this channel pretty much week in, week out. But let's go over how we did right here in week 10. Here's the Best Buys column. If you don't know how to find it, it's pretty easy. Go to the Google machine, type Best Buys week whatever. So if you're looking for week 11's Best Buys on Thursday when it comes out, Best Buys week 11 in the Google machine, and it will come up. It'll be the first thing on the SEO. You want to check out week 10? There it is. It's an ESPN Plus piece. You have to subscribe to ESPN Plus. Tons of ways to do that for very little money. You get this article and a whole bunch of other value as well. Let's go over the article. They got Stefania on top talking about Dion Lewis, and he was obviously the chalk play throughout the week. That opened up a lot of things, but there were pivots that were there for you if you wanted to take them. I know some members of our chat did, and I'm sure that they did very well based on how those plays did. Patrick Mahomes, 21 of 28, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, mirroring his worst game of the year, and still had 20 DraftKings points, 20.1 to be exact. If that's as bad as he's going to do, you know, if 20 points is his floor, that's beyond ridiculous. Jared Goff, still underpriced, still overperforming. 24 fantasy points, 28 of 39, 318 yards, 2 touchdowns. At home, he is an absolute beast. Against teams that keep pace with him, he is an absolute beast. So if those two situations are met in 2017, we were going off of if the Rams played a team that was in the bottom half in terms of pass defense, you know, team 16 and down. We were playing Jared Goff. He was a schoolyard bully. He picked on the weaklings. This year, doesn't work that way. This year, if those two situations are met, if a team is going to score over 20 points against them, or if he's at home, or both, you kind of want to play Jared Goff. We said his price was too cheap at $6,100. He definitely exceeded expectations once again based on his salary expectation. Baker Mayfield felt dangerous, both in daily fantasy and apparently in real life. 17 of 20 on the day, 216 yards and 3 touchdowns, giving him 20 plus DraftKings points, more than enough at 5,400 if you did get him in there. Phillip Rivers, the one kind of bust here at quarterback, 6K, only scored 16 DraftKings points, 18 of 26, 233 and 2 touchdowns. His volumes just hasn't been great this year. They're feeding the running backs a lot, especially one Melvin Gordon. 18 for 93 did not get you the 100-yard bonus, which would have been nice to get him over 30 fantasy points. 5 catches, 6 targets, 72 yards, and a touchdown for 27.5. Absolutely just every single week production from Melvin Gordon III. Just if he's out there, he's doing what he does, and he's scoring touchdowns, very involved in the passing game. James White, with Michelle back, was somebody that we got off of for cash games because we knew that his volume in the running game would come down. I was fine with him still for tournaments based on Rob Gronkowski being out. He flopped, only 1 carry. We knew that was coming with Michelle back for -5 yards. That didn't help. 5 catches on 8 targets, which we knew the target floor would stay high, but only 31 yards. Didn't get anything going against Tennessee Titans. The Patriots really couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do a darn thing. 7.6 points for him. The chalk of the day, Dion Lewis. Most people ate this in cash. He did not perform well, though I think the process was good here because if you're paying $4.6K for a running back on DraftKings, it's going to get 22 touches on the day. In a game where they win, you should expect him to reach, meet, or exceed value. He had 20 carries, only had 57 yards, no touchdowns, 2 catches on 2 targets for 11 yards. So the yardage per play, definitely not there. The efficiency, definitely not there against a team that has been overmatched against speedy or quick running backs throughout the season. Their linebacking core just can't keep up with these guys. They did a good job of bottling up Dion Lewis yesterday for only 8.8 points. But if you told me before the day that Dion Lewis would have 22 points in a massive victory for the Titans, I'd be on him. Now, the conversation wasn't should you play Dion Lewis, it was should you play Corey Davis and Dion Lewis in cash. I decided early in the week and stayed this way through Sunday that 2 Titans was too much, that I was only going to play one of the 2, and I decided to play Dion Lewis because of the matchup with Corey Davis, because of the empty volume that Corey Davis has seen in that low volume passing offense. Obviously, Corey Davis went off, caught a touchdown, had 28 or something DraftKings points on the week. I wasn't buying. Obviously, that was a mistake, not having him over Lewis, but the process on Lewis alone, I think, was fine, especially based on the result. We got what we wanted there. Adrian Peterson was somebody we also came off of later in the week. If you told me there was going to be this much yardage in the Redskins and Buccaneers game, and the Redskins were going to win by 2 touchdowns, and Adrian Peterson was going to have 19 carries and 2 catches against this Buccaneer defense and only end the day with 8.9 points, I would have said you're crazy, but there we are. 19 carries for 68 yards, 2 catches for 2 targets and 1 yard, only 8.9 points. Duke Johnson, 4.7K, outperformed Dion Lewis, only 3 carries, 15 yards, 4 catches on 4 targets, but he got himself into the end zone. It's kind of a bailout. 31 yards and a touchdown, 14.6 DraftKings points. You take that touchdown away, he does not meet value. The touchdown kind of fixes a lot of different things. So we kind of got lucky here that Duke Johnson reached value. He became a tournament play for me with all the cheaper running backs that came into play later in the week. We'll get to what line I took in my cash game lineup later. Julio Jones did Julio Jones things. Once again, 7 catches, 11 targets, 107 yards, and a touchdown. 26.7 DraftKings points, his 4th straight week with at least 21-plus DraftKings points. Right when everybody sold on him about a month ago, he's not getting any red zone looks. I'm not playing Julio Jones ever again. Never Julio Jones. Never playing Julio Jones. Hashtag never Julio. Julio hauls off and does Julio things because he's a good player getting massive volume in a really good offense. Tyler Boyd busted, even though he played the majority of his snaps in the slot, even though he played like 41 of 43 snaps for the Bengals. With all the missing pieces on offense for the Bengals, this is just a really bad team and a really bad defense, which means they're going to be chasing a ton. This just got completely out of hand and nothing went to task the way that we thought it would. 3 catches on 4 targets, 65 yards, no touchdowns, 9.5 points for Tyler Boyd. At 7.5K, that's not acceptable. Terrell Williams, tournament play only for me, 4 for 6, 46 yards, 8.6 DraftKings points. Didn't pay off, but I'm okay with taking that shot in tournaments because I'm going for all the money or none of the money. When I'm playing a play like this in tournaments, I want that 60, 70-yard touchdown. This was a spot where he could have cashed in on that. He didn't. I'll take the hit here, fine. It was somebody that was not. So this is a high ceiling tournament play for the price. Definitely not a cash game play. Michael Thomas, 100% paid off once again. 8 catches on 8 targets, 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, 27 DraftKings points. Larry Fitzgerald, who was my preferred play to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, had 6 catches on 10 targets, only 50 yards, dropped a touchdown pass, which would have been, a 20-yarder, so 9 more fantasy points. He ended the day with 11 fantasy points. Did not reach value. Maurice Harris did approach value. 5 catches on 5 targets for 52 yards, 10.6 DraftKings points. Did he get you 12? No, but did that hurt you? No. The point of playing Maurice Harris was to open up other guys and give you a really solid floor. He did that. I'm fine with Maurice Harris scoring 10.6 there. Travis Kelce, his first kind of bad week, though he did get 7 targets, caught 6 balls for 46 yards, 10.6 DraftKings points. Basically, every tight end that was reasonable busted this week. David Njoku was a problem. And I'm going to have to reevaluate this moving forward just based on the new Browns offense that they're utilizing, the way that they're playing, the way they're play calling, the way they're utilizing all their offensive weapons. The Browns are kind of a team in flux right now. And they're not really rolling out David Njoku the way that we want him utilized. 1 catch, 1 target, 18 yards, no touchdowns. He is gone from somebody who was playing a ton of snaps and getting a good amount of targets, 7+ pretty much every single week, to a guy who's now dangerous. Doesn't really have that super high floor. Doesn't really have that 50-yard floor, that 7-target floor every single week. So his price needs to come down drastically to like $3,500 before I can really consider playing him again, unless it's a massive defense versus position spot for Njoku. Benjamin Watson, I knew that this was a thin play. That's why he was also considering, but I hated all the tight ends, and I was looking for touchdown upside out of any single one of them at $3,400. We got close with Ben Watson. He caught 1 pass around the goal line, but unfortunately his old man knees came down and he couldn't really stretch him out before he could get the ball across the plane. So 1 catch, 2 targets, 1 yard, no touchdowns, and 1.1 DraftKings points. Defenses, picking on the Bills didn't work because apparently Matt Barkley is God. So he ended up with -3 points for the Jets defense. Chiefs defense had 10 points. Rams defense with 5 for a really cheap price. Against the spread, I didn't really fare that well this week, coming off of a couple of pretty good weeks. Right here on alzeidenfeld.com, you can get my picks every single week. Again, I'm not a sports bettor. I'm doing this kind of as a project. I went 1-3-1 this week against the spread, bringing my season total to 28-20-2. Which, again, I'm ahead of break even, so I'm happy about that. I'd like to get back on the winning ways going into next week. We'll see if I can do that. Moving on to my cash game lineup, here's the 4-man, the Edge 4-man. Really low scores this week across the board in cash games for pretty much everybody. Unless you got yourself to Mike Davis or you got yourself to Aaron Jones, you probably had a really low cash game score. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 406 yards, no touchdowns, 3 turnovers. Still ended up with 19 fantasy points. Todd Gurley, obviously not in Best Buys. I don't think I need to write up Todd Gurley in Best Buys every single week for you guys to know that Todd Gurley is a really, really good cash game play. He's probably, like I've said in basically every video and on the Edge podcast, Todd Gurley pretty much comes preloaded in my lineup. So it's, he's a staple as long as they keep his price under 9,800 on DraftKings. It's easy to fit him every single week, and you're going to get those 30 points. Dion Lewis failed. If this had become, and no, it's not even if this had become. I'll talk about this in a second. Larry Fitzgerald, 11 points. Josh Gordon, 12.1. Maurice Harris, 10.6. Benjamin Watson was a bust, but so was every tight end. Melvin Gordon, a third, 27.5. Rams defense, 5. 123.84 in the week. I won 58% of my head-to-head games. Now, here's the thing we talked about on the anti-Tinkercast. I felt, but I could not get comfortable coming off of one of Gurley or Gordon. And obviously, retrospectively, I should have, but I knew this beforehand that I didn't feel comfortable with these wide receivers. I didn't feel comfortable with a lot of the mid-range wide receivers, and I wanted to get up and find a path to get up to Julio or to get up to Michael Thomas or to get up to Tyreek Hill, who I really, really liked this week. But I couldn't find the path to get there. And every time I wanted to spend, I would come off Benjamin Watson and go up to like Doyle, who didn't really work either, though he had like 5 more fantasy points. So switching to Mike Davis off of one of these would have saved you $5K. I could have then upgraded Josh Gordon from $6K to $8K, and then Larry Fitzgerald from $6K to $8K would have ended the day with like 170, something like that, DraftKings points. Because I didn't want to have Gurley and Davis in the same game. I also didn't want to come off Melvin Gordon because I thought that he was going to have a massive game, and he did with his 165 scrimmage yards and a touchdown plus 5 receptions. He's a machine every single week. So is Gurley. So I couldn't convince myself to do it. I could not find a comfortable spot. Hopefully, you guys found a better path to sweep cash games. I know a few people here in my chat did. Found that way either to Aaron Jones over Dion Lewis, if that was the route you went and paid up for 2, or if you went Mike Davis and Aaron Jones, that was pretty much the cash game nuts with one of the high volume or high dollar running backs between Gordon and Gurley, because that allowed you to get up to 2 of the high price wide receivers, all of whom went off. Whether you went for Keenan Allen, whether you went for Tyreek Hill against a blitzing team like Arizona, or Michael Thomas, or Julio Jones, it totally changed your outlook on cash, and most definitely as well, tournaments. So hopefully you guys had yourselves a good week. For me, it was a survive and advance week. That's just the way it looks sometimes. Hopefully week 11 will be better. Thank you for joining. If you wouldn't mind, click like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think and how you did this week, and I'll catch up to you guys later. Bye, everybody.